What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Dream Agent Academy. I'm your host, Yunus Bouchachia. So today I want to talk about the Dream Agent, Dream Agent. I want to talk about the customer avatar. This is a huge topic that I believe is at the corner of every single problem that life insurance agents or financial advisors are facing. And you're going to know exactly why in this presentation. Because if you think that business relies only on sales. The problem with the life insurance is the fact that we think that business is sales is all about the interaction that we have at the specific moment. We forget that sales starts early on in the process, and that's what we want to tackle in this presentation. It's not going to be long. It's only 10-15 minutes, but it's really rich. So I hope you can finish it and let me know about your any thoughts, questions that you may have, so we can go from there, answer them, and move on into further other things. All right. So with that being said, let me share my screen. Okay, cool. That is good. Let me close this one, make this one bigger, and we should be good to go. So a deep dive customer avatar. So what is the problem that we have first? Client acquisition in the financial world has been the same for the last God knows how long, the last 50 years or 100 years, easily. This causes the industry to become acquainted to the lack of predictability, the fact that we are relying 99% on cold calls, especially now that people, they put ads, companies, they put ads, they generate those leads that gods come from where, and then you are supposed to go and do the follow-up with them, knowing that most of them, 99% of them, are dead. They are dead underwater. And the lack of creativity, where everybody is treating itself as an independent action, not an action that has a relationship with marketing. So, in my opinion, the number one reason why selling policies is hard is because we don't treat it as a business. We treat it as a sell opportunity, and that's a big mistake. Another thing that making things even harder is the fact that agents do not consider specifying who they want to sell to. They go and they try to reach everybody with the pulse, and that's a big no. So before we tackle the issue at hand, I want to make sure that we have certain things under control. The first thing is the perception, and perception is the number one killer in all dreams. These are few reasons why. The first thing is the fact that we need to redefine our relationship with sales, cash, and success in general. So to be able to do that, we need to download the new software. Everything that is already established in our head, it's not right. We need to change it. And the way to change the software is by seeing things on a daily basis. They say that for a habit to become a habit, it needs 21 days on a daily basis, 21 days successful, 21 days. And I think it's true. And the reason why we want to make sure that we are changing our perception and changing our relationship with success, cash, and sales by putting something in front of our eyes and speaking to ourselves on a daily basis. Yes, I can. It's just a matter of time. I will beat it. I will do it. All these kind of things can help us unconsciously change our attitude towards sales or cash. And even once we present ourselves to the customer, we don't come across as, awkward. We are so aligned with ourselves to the point that it's a just normal thing. So that's the number one thing about perception. The second thing about perception is understand that money is an amplifier. It's not a measure of character. A lot of people make this mistake. It's very, very common, and it's normal. We think that anybody with money has certainly a high IQ and a high good character, and it's not true. If you're an asshole without money, you're gonna be an asshole without it. So it doesn't matter. Money, what it does, it's only amplify whatever characters that you already have. So that's it. So that's something that we need to grab and to think about hard. And we don't need to let money get in the way. And the third thing is stop looking at success at something outside the realm of our reality. And the way we do that is by belief shifting. And the belief shifting happened because we can change the story that we tell ourselves. Once we can change the story that we tell ourselves, everything else changes. And we change from the very foundation of the problem. We don't treat just the symptom, we treat I'll give you an example. I was a bad kid in math, and I had to go back later on in my life as an adult to college and put so much effort into math just to beat that misconception that I had when I had math. And eventually I became good at math and I passed all the classes and everything else. But just to tell you that how perception, even if we know something is wrong, if we don't prove it to ourselves, we it's hard to change it. So the best way to do it is by changing the story. And eventually I understood why I was bad in math, because I didn't have the right support system around me. And I when I analyzed it and went back to my childhood and everything else, I understood that. So the idea, what I'm telling, because the story that I was telling myself until a certain age is I'm bad in math, I'm bad in math, I'm bad in math. But it happened that I was not bad in math. I didn't have the right support system around myself. So if I knew that, I would have changed that the story and changed eventually how I look at myself when I speak about math. The next thing is why 90% of Asians stay broke. So the first thing is that we need to treat thinking that treating sales as an isolated action independent of what we do before, while, and after the sale is completely uh, I can't even find the right word. It's not right. It's not right to think about it, about sales as an independent sale. It's not right to think that we can dial a number and we can just play the numbers game. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then the next one. Yes, that's good to in order to turn to generate money out of thin air. It's good, but it's not good for the long term. If you are building a business, you want to have the credentials and you want to have the brand and you want to have all the elements that can allow you to build a business that can start getting people to the door, not keep going and asking people. The second thing is sticking to the same kind of acquisition, and we know that everybody is doing the same thing. And the third thing is the feast, thinking that the feast and famine, it's a normal part of the business of the industry. It's not. A business do not need to have a feast and famine. A business needs to be at all times full, the pipeline always full of leads. That's how a business is supposed to be. And for that to happen, we need to tackle the issue of client acquisition, the customer avatar. So today you were able to reach whatever income you are in because what you've been using, and the truth is what got you here won't necessarily get you where you want to be. So it's not about how hard you work, it's about the strategies and the elements you put together to create that recipe. Okay. So what is a business? That's very important questions. A business in general relies on three elements. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, it relies on three elements: lead generation system, sales system, and the fulfillment system. If you have these three, then you are in business. If you don't have one of them, then you're automatically out broke. So how every successful business starts? Every successful business starts with two elements: the who for the market that we are going after, and the who for the person who happens inside that market. This is a huge distinction because we never take time to think about who we want, which market we want to go after to create that specific result. No, we just look for the who. Okay, it's somebody who is in his 30s and who is works in a corporate and who has two kids and blah 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 blah. But we never look at what industry he works for, what niche does he work for he happened to be in. So all these questions, we're going to be going in details about every single question here. I'm just trying to give you the idea that the fact that we need to ask these two questions is fundamental. Third is having a good, clear offer. That goes without saying. So the step two is define the dream customer, define the nightmare customer. If you received my email recently, I sent you an email with how you can create such a thing. You just take a piece of paper, you divide it in two, and you on the right side you write the dream customer, on the left side you write a nightmare customer, and then you list all the different characters of each, and then you go for your dream customer, and you make sure that every time you encounter a nightmare customer, you make sure that you are turning them down. And finally, choose one big, rich, old red ocean market. That's what we're going to be talking about in a second. So what are the three conditions to look for to select a super dream customer avatar? There are three things that we need to start with in order to select our dream avatar. The first thing is we need to understand that the person that is going to be our customer need to have the pain. And the awareness spectrum, we call it awareness spectrum, needs to be strong, because we don't want to be speaking to somebody who is early in the buying journey and who has just the pain start to float, and he's not, he's halfway there, but he's not sure. No, we want to make sure that we are speaking to people who have the awareness at the very high level, strong, at the very high level. This allows us to basically not put any effort. Basically, somebody who has the pain is obviously selling himself or herself on you. He's not need to be pushed. That's the first thing. The second thing we want to be making sure that who we are talking to is somebody who is educated. Yes, selling policies, it's not 100% required, but in general, I'm just telling you what's in general out there, is that a buyer needs to have a certain level of education about the products. We can just go and sell somebody something and just start answering all their questions and educating them, and this may take a long journey before they even can get to the point where they feel ready to commit. So we want to make sure that the person, he's at least understand the basics of what he's trying to buy. And the third element is never, ever, ever try to sell to broke people. This is a big mistake because this is a big mistake because what you're doing is you basically just wasting your time. And even if you were able to convince somebody, a broke person, to buy your product or policy, eventually they will cancel, and it's just a waste of time. So the idea is that we need to pre-qualify our customer early on in the process, and that's why I highly recommend using funnels. That's why I highly recommend using scorecards, quizzes, things like that, so that while you are having a relationship, while you are opening up conversations with people and establishing relationships, you can start by feeding and nurturing your audience these kind of pre-qualifying tools, so that you can, once they answer them, you can move them and place them in the right place. Okay, if they are advanced, you can put them in an advanced stage so that you can do the right follow-up. If they are just starting out, you can do the same thing. So that's very important. Now, what is a market? A market is where people go gather to buy similar things. We can talk about the gold market, we can talk about vegetable market, talk about car market. It doesn't matter what we talk about. The fact is, anybody who's considering himself who wants to make a purchase, they need to go to a specific market. Now, you are probably wondering why market matters. Because of leverage. Because we don't want to be going and trying to sell on the street. Nothing happens on the streets. We want to leverage the number of people that happen to be in that specific market. It's like a market is impregnated with people who are ready to buy from you. So these people, they have similar issues, they have similar pain points, they have aspirations, they have similar desires, they hang out at the same place. So imagine for people who like, for example, to buy gold or to buy a specific car, they go to a specific dealership. So if you go to that dealership, you know for a fact those people are lovers of that car. So you get the idea, and this is the first step into processing our marketing, into setting up the stage for our marketing, so we can start going to groups, going to forums where our dream customer hang out, and start engaging and start developing conversation and relationships with people who happen to be in that niche, who happen to belong to that group. That's very important, because otherwise every time we write a post, create a campaign, or send an email, we need to adjust every single marketing uh, tool or marketing item. We need to adjust it to the kind of niche or markets that we are trying to reach, and it's just impossible. Next is why market size matter, and this is very important. I'll give you in a minute the selection criteria for what best markets out there. But it's important to understand that when the pie is big, we can afford to be less skilled and still take home more money. That's very important. What this means is when we're choosing a market, industry, or niche, we want to make sure it's something that's been around for some times. And the following are examples. For example, a market needs to have enough traffic volume. That's very important. There should be money being made in that market. Market needs to be around for some time. It stands the proof of time. Market needs to have a lot of money, ridiculously rich. A market is old enough and ripe, so it's always new entrants into the market. Asking yourself how much money is being made inside that market, and you can easily figure out how much money, the not exact money, but you can easily figure out the kind of money that is made inside that market. I want the market to have constant increased number of sellers and new businesses. This is a great sign that the market is good. Pay attention to not choose a big market that is in decline, because it's just going to be hard. The more you try to sell, the harder it's going to be, because the market is going to be in decline. So for example, if I'm a life insurance agent and I decided to go and I said, okay, I'm going to go and select the roofers, or I'm going to select the plumbers. I know these kind of jobs, they make decent income. They make very decent income, and most of them, they have companies around. So I know for a fact these people exist. They have been around for a long time. They have been around. They have the money. They have the funds. I know that they are aware that they need to secure their loved ones, and so there is out there a lot of elements that suggest that these markets is good. Plus, it's easy to go tap into groups like these. It's easy if I want to run a campaign. It's easy to pinpoint exactly that specific avatar and allow your ad to go reach him or her directly. So the whole thing, it's easy, or a dentist or a doctor, you name it. So this is very, very important. Now, the second type of market you choose is a big decision. So you are not jumping from one to another. So the market needs to have been around for a long time. That's a proof that you are not going to invest in a superficial market. Market needs to be stable, a bloody interested with sharp markets, and highly competitive. This is a great sign that if the market you want to go to is highly, for example, when I decided to, I was a high ticket affiliate marketer, and I spent there for like 7 years selling high ticket affiliate marketing. And then when AI show up and Bitcoin and all these new things start to show up, it's like the market start to shift slowly, and every day you start to feel like there is less and less people inside that you can sell to, and it just shows, it was just obvious the market is in decline instead of going upward. And the next thing I ask myself, what market can I go to invest all my expertise and my credentials so I can make become a reference in that market. And it was without question the life insurance agent, because I happen to be to used to be a life insurance agent. And not only that, I spent 7 years selling high ticket affiliate, and it happened that selling organically happens to be exactly the same kind of style and nature of sales that life insurance needs to follow. So it was a no-brainer. I just jumped into this market, and the market happens to be old, happened to be a very where there's a lot of sharks. It's very red. It's very red. But in the same time, the fact that it's very old, very red, a lot of sharks, a lot of competition, all that, this shows that there is money to be made in the market. So I hope that I was able to make sense. Now the idea is, if you think that, well, there is only so many niches out there, or there's only so many markets out there, I would suggest the difference, because there are plenty of niches out there. I have an Excel sheet where I have over 2,400 niche. You can request it and I send it over. But the idea is that there is a lot of niches, and you can select. There are even niches that we don't even know about. Next is market positioning, and this is very important. A lot of people gonna say, okay, well, Yunus, this is all good and fine, but the fact is, how am I going to go and position myself inside this market? This has two things. Positioning happens through showing up, through understanding where your customer avatar happen to be, and then we make sure that we optimize, and we have a brand, we optimize our profile, we do all those things, the surface level, but also we go one step further and we do some investigation. For example, it used to be hard to go and market position. Today, you can go and make a list and say, okay, here is the customer avatar I want to pursue. Here's the customer I don't want to. Here's my product. Here's the problem I solve, and here's what we do for the customers that we sell to. And you can go to AI and ask them, could you help me brainstorm for a minute the biggest, fastest, richest markets out there that they can benefit from what I sell? And in few seconds, you'll have a list of niches and markets that you can go to, and you can invest and become the leader. Okay, so this is not 100% applicable to life insurance, but the concept is very important. A woman who owns 50 pair of shoes is certainly a better prospect for 51st pair of shoes than a woman who owns none. This is by Dan Kennedy, one of the godfathers in the modern marketing. What this means, if somebody already has a policy and tells you, well, I already bought a policy, the next thing that you need to be coming up with, it's not, well, fine, have a nice day. The next thing you want to make sure that how long have you been having that policy? How long did anybody check that policy and see and try to enhance it or adjust it, or see if there is any gaps in there that we can make sure that they are filled up with the proper thing. So all these things, the idea is, if somebody has already a policy, it doesn't mean that we can sell them. It means that we need to do further investigation, push the button, do further investigation, and eventually there is a possibility we can sell that person. And that selling that person is way easier because he's already a client, is already paying for it. So you only need to move them from one company to the other. And finally, the platform is not marketing. A lot of people make this mistake and think that just because they are they are showing up. That first they think that just by being inside a platform, that's enough, that you're going to be able to get attention and create some relationships with people. No, the fact of being on a platform is just the no, just the basics. You need to be showing up on a daily basis. You need to be putting the right content out there. You need to be compounding your content so that allow people to move from one stage to another. Because somebody who sees a value post today and the next day they see a belief shifting post and the third day they see a lead generation post, there is a compound effect that's happening throughout that week. And by the end of the week, if you tell him, hey, I have something for you, if you are interested, they may probably, there is a high chance that they raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested. And the very definition of what lead is a person who say, hi, I am interested. Is it possible I know more? At that point, at that specific point, when they raise their hands, that becomes a lead. So a lead is not people on your list that are sitting there. No, a lead is when a person raise their hand and say, I'm interested. So that's very important to know and to keep in mind. Finally, the big pond versus the small pond analogy. This is, I don't want to close this presentation without speaking about it, because a lot of people, a lot of agents, it's a nature, it's a nature, human nature, because people, we all feel that we need to go jump into a large pool of it's a big industries so that we can become big easily. And the idea, the more you, the better, the smaller the pond you jump into, the better it is, because eventually you build your credentials, you build your credibility, you build your brand inside that small industry or pond, and slowly you start to grow, and slowly your brand start to expand and move outside the outskirts of that pond to start getting people and getting attracting other people from other places. And at that point, you know for a fact that you are becoming a serious brand. So that's very important to keep in mind, because unless you are starting small, and you won't be able to grow into a bigger fish. That's the idea. So, okay, Eunice, all this is great stuff, but my problem is lead generation and traffic problem. No, what you have is a customer avatar problem and a market positioning. If you start by applying everything that we just spoke about right now, and putting the right foundation and doing the right research, and then going and building that audience and starting conversation and connecting with people, you'll have a business. But if you try just to think that it's a lead generation happened, I wrote yesterday a very interesting post, and I speak about the fact that, because I have this conversation, I speak about the fact that does buyers exist out there, or do our buyers are made? And the fact is, buyers are made, they don't exist. You need to be able to turn a non-buyer into a buyer, and we do that because we respect the journey and we invest in people. Okay. So recap, all the AI tools, workflows, and profit makers are so accurate. But if you don't have extreme clarity on your who the customer avatar is, you are already set up for failure. If you don't know what markets your dream customer lives in, AI will fish in the wrong market, and your cost per acquisition or your sales will increase automatically. This, with that being said, if you want to go deeper into the customer avatar, I have a document that I listed over here. I will list it inside the comment below, so you can check it out. You just fill up the information and you can access it. It's a very detailed customer avatar playbook that you can literally answer the questions, and at the end, when you finish, you have everything you need. And when you add that document to what we saw right now, you have everything you need, basically. So if you want to further this conversation, if you just feel like you want to chat or have a conversation, you can join me. You can reach out to me on my LinkedIn, message me on my LinkedIn. I will add the link as well. It's right here. Or you can schedule a call and we can have a conversation for an hour. No worries, no nothing. Just you and I and having a conversation. All right. So with that being said, I hope you guys got something out of this. I'm so happy that how long we've been for, like 30 minutes. Awesome. So this is very nice. It took more than what I expected, but I hope that it was beneficial. If you have any questions, again, put them in the comment. I read every comment. See you soon. Bye bye.